Everyone, I'm the Bravos Hatter, and this time I'm bringing you my deck list for my Sigismar aggro deck. As I became frustrated with running into a lot of trace decks on the ladder, I was looking for something that could beat them. Sigismar caught my eye as I was looking through some options. Shout out to Trickster. I started off with brewing with his shared deck list that turned into this version of the deck. So far I played 37 games with it, winning 29 of those games, including a 5-1 in a week 5 of AWOL Europe, taking a 4th place, and later that week I took a 7th place as well. For the strategy, this deck doesn't run any permanents, so it's a character based deck, in which we want to play a lot of small characters. As we play only characters of 3 cost or lower, it is very important to stay high on resources, or at least have more cards to play than the opponent. That is why we play a lot of draw and sabotage cards, so we can pressure them in the expedition and stay ahead in card advantage. We are trying to win both expeditions at least once early on. If this fails, we always have a failsafe with charge. This will boost the entire board, hoping we get a 2-0. After this, try to focus on winning one lane each time. As we play a lot of small characters, we can easily switch our strength to the other lane. Committing a 1 cost in the companion lane and switching back costs us only 1 mana. So, for the card choices. The first one we play is the Order's Attorney. We play the rare version. In worst case, this is just a vanilla 2/2 for 2. In best cases, we block the opponent's side and draw a card. Very strong card. This card is a mind trick for the opponent. Do they let us win the expedition it is played in, or are they denying us, but in doing so letting us draw a card? Both ways are perfect for us. This card is specifically good against Gojo, as Buddha gets perfectly blocked by this card alone. Our second card is the Foundry Mechanic. This is a solid 1-drop with just above average stats. 1-drops are generally good, as they serve as a mini after you, letting you use minimal resources to see the opponent's next play. We never use its support ability as we don't run permanents, but the 1 cost from reserve is very welcome to our strategy. Then we play 1 copy of the Paper Herald. So I'm struggling with this card. I like the rare a lot better than the common, but as Foundry Mechanic is just a little bit better, this gets my preference. The Paper Herald is mostly used to get in reserve for a free Orders Recruit to its support ability. For that reason, it doesn't really matter if you use the rare or the common. I have this in the deck because I felt an extra 1-drop would be nice, as I wanted to run at least 8. The Orders Trooper. This card is a beast. So much touch for 1 mana, and I would love this card in Bravos. It is flexible, as you can play this first to put some stats on the board with minimal resources, or play it last to sneak in an expedition to its high 1/2 stats. This is almost always a keep for me in my opening hand. Then we continue with the Cadets. This is the first of my 3 2-offs. I do like this card in combination with Charge or with Ozma. The key element of this card is the 2 bodies it provides for these cards. The Orders Cadets with the Sigismar daily token will trigger Ozma's draw ability quite easily, and with Charge you get 2 bodies, 1 for each character. Other than that, I put this card a lot of times in my mana as I was missing some water stat. It hurts more often than you think. Monolith Legate. This card acts like the Order's Attorney. You get something from it when you don't win the expedition. As the common is a 2/1/2 for 2, I would rather run the rare of this card for the extra mounted stat, but we are already a little tight on rares. But definitely keep an eye out for this card. Playing this in the first few turns to sabotage an opponent who cripple their available resources quite quickly and sabotage their plan. If they don't have ways to gain card advantage back, you can take over the game quite easily from the start. My last 2-off is the Frog Prince. The Frog Prince is excellent in Forest and Water for only 2 mana, but the little frog can't get on any mountain. This is either way a very good card in the right expedition, or it can turn into a mana orb quickly. All of these 2-offs are good in their own way, and most of the time in a specific situation. I spent some time looking for which one of the three to cut, but I think two of all is currently working very well for me. Then we have 3 copies of Ozma. Even as a common card, this is very good, as we have always at least a recruit in the expedition, meaning we only need to play 2 small characters before we can draw a card, which in this deck is not hard to get. If you find some uniques that can provide 1 or more token just like the Order's Cadets, this card only needs 1 other card. The stats of Ozma itself are just below par, but the card draw makes up for it. And as you need at least 3 other characters, chances are you don't lose the expedition anyway. The Sandman. As I got a rare spot left, I chose for the Sandman. This card here is to finish games or sleep anchor characters. As anchor characters are staying on the field anyway, at least negating their stats on the day they have anchored is a very nice play. You can also sleep your own characters and giving them 2 boosts for the next day, and this is very handy when you lose your expedition anyway, or you expect to lose it. Another very good common is the Order Spy. 3 mana for a 2/2 and disrupting the opponent by a sabotage. Another big upside is the 2 cost from reserve. You don't get the sabotage though, but the 1 mana cost less is very important in this deck as it opens much more plays than a 3 cost. Baba Yaga is probably one of the best turn 1 cards you can play. Play this in a companion expedition and you are almost certain to win at least one side. If your opponent is first, you can even deny their progression and still winning. If you are playing against the Kojo opponent and you're second, put this on the hero expedition, unless your opponent also played a 3 cost. This way you are sure not to lose both expeditions. Charge is a first spell. 2 mana to give all your characters a boost. This card can be used offensive, trying to win both expeditions at once, but it can also be used defensive. Try to win one side and blocking the other for your opponent. Try to find some uniques that summon 1 or more tokens for 2 or 3 mana cost. This way charge gets more powerful. Sigismar summons every day a recruit, which also will be boosted. As others have very good removal, I packed different options for different situations. There should not be anything that can be hit by one of our options. The first one is Teamwork Training. For 2 mana we can send a character to reserve with mana cost equal to our character's count. In normal situations you can expect to remove a character with mana cost 3 or less. Sometimes you can even target a 4 cost. But you also need to have mana to play your characters, so 4 or more is not common. Healing Burst is a rare card from Axiom which sends a character 4 or less to reserve or discards a target permanent with hand cost 4 or less. Specifically, the discard target permanent is why I have this in my deck. As Trace is a very common run on the ladder, I want to discard those Haven, Bravo Sebastians, and that's why this card is here. Sticky Note Seals does also send characters and discard permanents, but then 4 cost or more. This is probably used against high cost characters or some of the Ordis and Izmir landmarks. And for my uniques. First I got my Ratatoskr. This Ratatoskr is from hand just another Foundry mechanic. But from reserve it's a 2 mana 3/3/4 with the stats divided over multiple bodies. This card is very good with Charge or with Ozma. You can choose to play him in your hero expedition with a token and put the other token in your other expedition, pressing your opponent to play in 2 lanes. My second one is the Paper Herald. From hand it's not that great, it's just a 2 mana 1/1/1. But in reserve it becomes a 1 mana 3/3 stat divided over 3 bodies. Just like the Ratatoskr unique, this is a very strong for a charge follow-up. It also has the normal Paper Herald support ability, which is nice for when you don't have mana left but still need that body. And lastly, this is my Kadigiran Alchemist. One of my favorite turn 1 plays as he puts a token in both expeditions, resulting in a 2/2 in your hero expedition to the daily token and a 3/3/3 on the companion expedition. This way you get at least one expedition and on most of the times you can even win both ones. Notice that this is also the Paper Herald support ability, which comes in handy sometimes if you don't have the mana but still need that extra body as well, just like the previous unique. So, I will also show you one of those games I played at the AWOL tournament. So we start off with a Muna player. And with my hand I see 2 sticky note seals, in which I think, well, they're probably not needed because the Muna player is playing a lot of small things. So, I also removed the teamwork training for now, because I think my first play would be the Paper Herald and a Monolith Legate, and the second day I will probably be able to play the Order Spy. So I will start off with playing my small 1-cost Paper Herald into the Hero Expedition to see what my opponent. They play a very small one, the Spindle Harvester of themselves. So here I think, well, let's play the Legate to the right. I probably won't get to sabotage anything anyway because of all those anchor effects. They play a physical training, boosting up the anchored character, and I think, oh, at least it's just a 1-1. So we both pass and win 1 expedition each. So, as we draw the Orders Cadet and the Baba Yaga, I'm thinking, let's try to keep the Baba Yaga and play that later in the game. So, my opponent Spindle at noon, if they have 2 or more boosts, they can resupply. Well, they have more than 2 boosts, so they resupply into Parvati. They play directly their Sneezer's Shroom unique. You may discard a card from reserve, and if you do, it gains anchored. And at dusk, if one target with hand cost 3 or less other than me gains anchored. So this is a very nice play. So as we can see, they discard the Parvati to anchor themselves, and at dusk they probably will anchor the Spindle Harvester as well. So I tried to play the Baba Yaga to draw a card here, and well, I hope that this game turns out pretty good as well. They play the Muna Caregiver, so that it will probably get to at the end of the round to anchor some other cards again next time. So I discard the Herald, as I thought also in my strategy guide, to at least break even on the right. Could be an expedition. Here you see that they target the anchor effect on the Spindle, and they move an expedition ahead and we don't. So far it doesn't really look good for us. So we draw the Attorney and the Baba Yaga. And for me, I think the Attorney can draw twice, and with those anchored characters on the field a lot. Also, the Caregiver anchoring probably the Sneezer's Shroom again, and the Sneezer's Shroom anchoring the Spindle Harvester again. I think the Order's Attorney would draw us at least 2 cards. So that's why we keep the... We threw away the Baba Yaga into the mana. We create our cadet, and we are seeing there an Quetzalcoatl, and I think, well, that Quetzalcoatl probably cannot be on the board or gets anchored every time, and I directly remove it from the board. They do the support ability of the Caregiving, anchoring the Shroom, and playing directly the physical training onto the Shroom as well. Well, we follow up with the attorney, and they have another physical training, and they boost the spindle harvester as well. Again, this does not look very good for us at the moment. They win both expeditions, and they anchor in the spindle harvester again as well. And we know that those two little plants stay on the board and aren't that little anymore. We draw a card from the attorney and we continue. At this moment I'm thinking, okay, I need to do something quick with our teamwork training, otherwise we are not winning this game at all. We're removing the charge, as I think the charge of the 1-1 boost will not be sufficient enough to, well, to look at all these stats on board. They play another Parvati, and they probably anchoring the sneezer's room as well as again, and they look to try to, well, anchor the spindle harvester again later this night. I try to dig on for more resources, so I play my Orders Attorney again. And I play my Foundry mechanic to, well, to try to have the teamwork training and send back to reserve, so they can play it again and make sure they can't anchor anything as well. So as this round is over, they still win the expedition and we win an expedition, and everything, or two cards go to reserve, so they need to discard right now. And I'm thinking, well, okay, with all those big statted small plants off the board, maybe we can do something of a comeback. At the moment, we drew two of our uniques, the Alchemist, which summons a cadet of an Orders recruit in every of our expeditions. And we also got a Ratatosker, which is very good from reserve, and from hand is just like a mechanic. We put into mana the Frog Prince, one of the two we got, and our opponent doesn't play anything in reserve right now. So we play the mechanic at first, just to see what they are planning to do. They are trying to come up with their good unique. And here we play the Ratatosker to make sure that it does get into reserve soon. They are trying to anchor, they're trying to boost the spindle harvesters, because at dusk they will probably anchor it to Snoom. Play our Alchemist on the right to block them off and win the hero expedition. As we got still some mana left over, we play as well the Baba Yaga to make room for the our uniques in the reserve, and now we are on both winning the expeditions. They are targeting the spindle harvesters with their anchor ability, so that stays at least for one more turn. So here we are removing the Frog Prince, because if I look at our hands, we got here the 2 mana from the Ratatosker, the 2 mana from the Cadet, and the 2 mana from the Charge, and also the 2 mana from the Alchemist. So we put on a lot of bodies here and make sure they are becoming very big soon. So they're playing Asha. One of the cards for both of us goes to the mana. And I play, of course, directly my Ratatosker to create 2 of the recruits and 2 mana for a 3/3/4 to match them on the expedition on the right. Then again, they try to anchor the shroom, the spindle harvester, and I think, well, let's do first. Let's draw a card first. Well, unfortunately, they do have a 1 mana Beauty Sleep, sleeping our Ozma, and I play another Ozma to see how this is going. We draw a teamwork training, which would be excellent for us right now. But we will remove and use the support ability from the Alchemist to put another token in, and we play Charge to win us again a 2-0 over our opponent. Notice that we do got a Ozma that is sleeping, that stays on the board until next day, and because it's buffed, we will take now the lead in this game. As our opponents already has a lot of resources put into the reserve, they need to discard 2 as well, and that is very handy for us because they want to keep the Beauty Sleep and the Aja as well. We draw an Order Spy, and if I count my mana correctly, it's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because we have enough mana to play everything, I don't go with any mana reserve, so I keep everything. My opponent also keeps everything, and the first thing we are removing from play is the Order Spy. As I see this big Hydracana into reserve, I'm a little bit down. Should I remove it? But as we only need 1 more expedition to win, if they play it on the hero expedition as well, they almost are gone with the completely of the turn, and that's why I think I can back Aja, because they will have more mana to play. I put an Aja here to sabotage. I targeted Aja here for the sabotaging of. I think a 4/5/4 is a big body on the field, and the Beauty Sleep is 3 mana, and it only sleeps 1 of my small characters. That's why I chose the Aja. So they do play the big one here, having no mana left at all. I will draw a card to see what they are doing. As they are doing nothing, we can just remove the Spindle Harvester and win one of those lanes. And we go to victory here. So this game was not looking like we could win from the start, but while we headed into removing their anchoring characters, we get into the tempo. Eventually won with all of our card advantages.
Thanks for watching this Sigismar deck guide. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and hopefully I see you next time. Thanks!